Goed Morgen. 'Tis I, Joey Only Kirby Weather Dude YouTube channel here, sitting with my son Waylon this morning, having coffee and looking at weather things that are going on. So there's some snowfall warnings, first of all, in northern British Columbia. We got to talk about this morning, some brand new ones. There could be more today, and if there is, we'll do our best to let you know about them too. Of course, we know we got a big bad cold snap coming at the end of the month. We've been talking about that a little bit. I don't like it, but it's probably a thing. And we got some storms coming this week on repeat. Some good ones, actually. I think like the first one's like, the second storm there seems like it's going to really smack. And the problem with this big storm pattern is it does put our jet stream up and down like a yo-yo a lot. And what happens is, sure, it gets warm for a day or two, but then it gets really cold after. So I'm concerned that the storm pattern will be part of the methodology for bringing the extreme cold to us later at the end of the month. But that's at the end of the month. Let's just talk about today, and whatnot. Okay. Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. Hit like, share, subscribe. Let's go! There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. They try mopping this. Okay, let's start first of all in the British Columbia side of the country. Williston Region, Pine Pass. You are looking at 15 centimeters this morning and into Monday morning. A frontal system will bring snow heavy at times. That will begin early this morning and will ease overnight. 15 centimeters expected by Monday morning. She's definitely cloud, and it's got that stratus gray deck of cloud over top of us here in Wells, but we are not seeing snow at this time. You can tell we're just on the edge of all this crap, and right now there is a bit of mix of precipitation that went through Prince George. I think depending on your elevation or your time of day that you went through the north of, if you're going up the Heart, you might have run into some snow or some mixed precip of different kinds, according to the radar. Shows a bit of a mix there. 10 centimeters for the Fort Nelson area this afternoon and into the evening. Maybe 15 centimeters over Highway 77. Meanwhile, in the Northwest Territories, 10 to 15 centimeters there. 2 to 3 centimeters per hour can be expected at times on Monday as the storm moves over there. As it moves into the Alberta side, 15 centimeters there. Basically the same forecast. On the Uranium City side of Saskatchewan, 15 centimeters. Basically the same forecast. Down here's a fog advisory in Saskatchewan. That'll end by noon, so don't think too much about that. Meanwhile, lake effect snow, is that what we're seeing here again? Snow squall warning. Bam! I'm so good at this! Yes! Good morning, sweetie.
Morning, Dad.
I'm telling everyone how good I am.
Okay.
Back to the weather. 20 to 40 centimeters. Holy shit balls. With the highest amounts expected in the most persistent lake effect snow bands. That's this afternoon through Monday morning. Lake effect snow off Lake Huron will intensify through the afternoon. A prominent snow squall is expected to form late today through tonight. The exact positioning of this snow squall remains somewhat uncertain, and therefore the location of the greatest snowfall totals. Conditions are expected to improve by noon on Monday, although flurries will likely continue into Monday afternoon. And we got the snow squall watch as well for up to 30 centimeters for them. Meanwhile, north of Toronto, you got snow squall warning there up to 30 centimeters. Special weather statement in the GTA, 5 to 10 centimeters. Lake effect snow off Georgian Bay being the culprit there. Meanwhile, we head over to the Quebec side there. Snowfall warning. Snow will continue this afternoon. It doesn't say anything else about it. Up to St. Lawrence there, we have 2 to 5 centimeters of snow expected there. South Shore still, snowfall warning of 15 centimeters. New Brunswick under a snowfall warning as well. Doesn't really say how much. 15 centimeters it says, actually. Meanwhile, up towards Sydney, Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, Guysborough County, Richmond County, Sydney Metro, we're talking about 90-kilometer-hour wind gusts there. Look out, Frankie, if you go up onto the highlands there, 120 kilometer hours there. Les Sweat winds there, 90k in the middle of nowhere there, whatever that island's called there. Meanwhile, on the south shore of Newfoundland, 100k there from the Wreck House winds, 110 near St. George to Gros Morne. Other side of South Shore there, 100 kilometers there. Heading up on the east coast of the island there, wind warnings as well. Wind warnings. We have a persistent pattern that's been really settling in Atlantic Canada of just major storm after major storm, and that seems to be continuing time span until Monday. Let's have a little looky-loo at the first storm going on by through west coast. Going to see a little bit of that snow moving. Let's see that low is kind of squeezed through southern BC. So I think Monday you might see a little bit of flurries and whatnot, a little bit of rain. In southern BC, nothing major. Here's our next storm slamming in around Wednesday sometime. Boom shakalaka, it's heating up, but it's not the real one. The real one is still coming after that. I mean, it's a real one, but like we got a big show coming right here, maybe an even atmospheric river on the weekend. Here's a look-see at the continent this morning. There's our system there that's pushing up into northern BC. You can see where the snowfall warnings are more or less. Clouded up, though, through most of the province. Most of the province is cloudy right now. We had this low that was off the U.S. coast. It's now made its way inland. You can see its general counterclockwise motion right there. So that's bringing different forms of precip and maybe even some snow in the mountains and things like that. We don't forecast for America around here because they have their own people. And here you can see the system for which the delivery of our next storm will come from. We got the general motion in the Pacific that's going on right now. That is how our weather will be coming towards us. That is the mechanism of delivery. Okay, jet stream time. There's our little storms moving off into USA. Looks like another one coming later in the week there for you. Another one after that. So they got kind of a persistent stormy pattern off the U.S. coast. But look at this. We are right under the jet stream there by the time we come into the next weekend. A nice little ridging here starts us off, so that should bump temperatures for some of you in southern BC up a little bit, maybe just a little bit, and then a little bit of a break, and then bam, Wednesday, first storm, and then whammo by the weekend, there's the next one. There's the next one. Oh boy, she's an ugly little bugger, that next one too. She's going to really sock us in hard, and it may just be the delivery mechanism afterwards, like I said, that drags that extremely cold air down across the continent. We got an Arctic outbreak coming. We're not talking about that today necessarily, but that's a thing. It's going to happen. Here's our never-ending series of storms there in the East Coast that we're talking about. Here's our next little guy into BC. As you can see, it kind of clips the top of Vancouver Island, central BC, then sort of pushes up to the northeast more or less. So into the Peace area, into the Omineeka, you will be getting some of that. Southern BC mostly missing out on this, although on Monday, you'll take a little bit of the tail as it comes on through. Look at the storms there in the East Coast. You can see why it's going to be so windy where Frankie lives there in Nova Scotia tonight. 977 low park right over top of Nova Scotia there. And the outer bands slamming Newfoundland. You can see northern BC taking all that snow. That low sitting right inland basically by Sunday morning, at least according to GFS models. And you can see our low kind of in the U.S. It's not doing much, not doing too much, but it is there. It is there. It is there for sure. Now that low is fully embraced the idea of going continental, so it comes in on the Alberta side, brings a little tail of snow in behind it. When it does, we got to zoom in here for a second and we'll get on it. Brings a little tail of snow, rain, precip like that through southern BC on Monday when it does. But the real story is at the top end of the low, which is Yellowknife and Hay River. That's where those snowfall warnings that we looked at earlier are for as well. And you might see more of those. We see more of those as this pushes out. This high pressure kind of blocking it, which kind of compacts it together and makes it just that much more dense of a little storm there. There's only 1,006 millibars. It's not exactly deep. And you can see southern BC through Monday. Again, like nothing crazy. You might run into some slick roads, though, if you're going up over mountain passes and whatnot, depending on the time of day. Looks like that starts in western BC. By the time you get into the evening, that'll make its way more towards the east. It's going to take its time. I'm not predicting that there'll be any snowfall statements or anything like that, but be aware if you're traveling through the mountains, that's going on. The low now pushing up into the territories, bringing in a nice trail of snow through the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border by the time you come to Tuesday morning. So Manitoba, if you're northern Manitoba, be wary for the idea that on Tuesday morning, you're most likely going to wake up to a little bit of snow on the ground. Low sitting in southern BC. Very, very, very weak low, though. Not organized whatsoever. Not going to do much, but it may put a little bit of precip down on Tuesday in the Rogers Pass, maybe through Field, Lake Louise, maybe through number 3 highway. That should tail out, though, as the day goes on. You can see the north taking a little bit of snow. But here's our next storm. This is the one we're going to be watching for Wednesday when it comes. Here's what it does. Gets big, 985. 980, deep. 976, not bad, not bad. Slaps the coast, slaps us according to ECMWF. A little bit of a different solution than the GFS model showed us. But look at that one up in the Gulf of Alaska, 951. That is a deep low. That's like a hurricane almost in terms of strength. And does it bring an atmospheric river this week? That's going to be the topic of future videos. Friday afternoon, going to have a nasty weekend, it looks like. Quite likely at least some nastiness. Maybe not in the direct center of the province. You live in Quesnel and you live in Kamloops. That's why people live there. It's dry country. You tend to miss a lot of the shows. And look at this. Sunday, wow, the entire ecosystem of the territories is going to be under, at least the continental territories, under one big, massive low dumping snow. Anyways, that's all I know. Actually, no, it's not. I know lots of stuff. But that's all I got time to talk about today. We'll have another video for tonight sometime, I hope, with some updates. Unless there's a whole bunch of new snowfall warnings put out today. I don't know if there will be. That's probably the 2 that we're going to get. But it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question that Environment Canada sees something and says, well, we better put a warning on these people too. So if that happens, we'll do our best to keep you on the know on the channel here. Hit like, share, subscribe. Also find me at patreon.com/interiorweatherwatchers. I'm starting to put different videos on Patreon that I'm putting here, and I'm starting to put something on Patreon every day. And you don't have to be a pay member for all of it. Some things I'll put up for pay members only. Some things I'll put out for the general public. But I just need somewhere other than Facebook to post. And so I'm starting to use my Patreon. And who knows? Who knows where we're going? Everything's good. Everything's awesome. We'll see you next time. Bye.